Hey, this is Brian Trifon, and I wanted to show you and talk to you a little bit about how I used Posthuman in the Halo Wars 2 soundtrack. So, Halo Wars 2 just came out for Xbox One. It's awesome. Go buy it. Go buy the soundtrack. I was one of the composers on the project, along with Brian Lee White, who is the other half of Finishing Move, and also the amazing orchestral composer, Gordy Habb. From the beginning of this project, we knew we'd need to blend live orchestra as well as electronic elements and sort of everything in between. So Brian White and I set out to create a bunch of textures that we could use that were really moving, that could tie together somewhere between like the live recorded orchestra and the more electronic elements. Because sometimes if you have just all synthetic elements and then it's just plopped on top of the orchestra, you get the contrast, but you can also get a bit of disconnect. So we wanted sort of all of the above, the synths, the real orchestra, and then things that are somewhere in between. And that's where actually sort of Posthuman fits, is in that somewhere in between the organic and natural and the semi-synthetic. So in this piece that's starting to play in the background, it's called Cratered, and it's actually one of the first cues that happens when you load up the game. It's sort of a delicate piano piece, and then it swells into a nice orchestral thing. And really what ties the sort of ambient intro and the orchestral elements together are basically Posthuman pads. And you can see that I have two instances of Posthuman that are on screen here, but actually there's like 4 or 5. Some of them are actually sounds that were just, they're before there was actual final presets. And I'll actually show you the interface, what it looked like before we had the UI. And it really blends beautifully with the orchestral elements. It's not as jarring as something that's fully synthetic. It has a different feeling to it than the emotion of the orchestra, and it complements it nicely. So you can see with our original interface, it wasn't very pretty, but it worked in the same kind of way. So I'm going to go ahead and solo these two alpha versions of Posthuman. You can hear I was just using it to make some swirling pads. And I think that's where Posthuman really excels, is in sort of the textures that work really well in the background and help glue things together. So here's a piece that's in the game and on the soundtrack that's called Singular Vision. And this is sort of like, low intensity combat kind of music. And here we have a bunch of textures, Posthuman, and notably there's the one that's called Parks of Fire that's doing the melody here. So I'll go ahead and solo that so you can hear it. And there it is back in context. So in the case of this particular piece, where there's more activity happening and there's more percussion and so on, a patch like Parks of Fire works really well just as a melody, because it stands out, but it still isn't taking up all the space, getting in the way. And it's a really unique sound. This piece is called Collateral Harm, and this one is basically happens as you're in the lowest level of intensity. So it's basically as you're building your bases and doing things like that, where there's no engagement with the enemies at all. So again, with this piece, we're also using Posthuman to sort of tie together between the more synthetic sounds and organic, because it's a nice middle ground and has the right vibe for that. Anyway, that's a little bit of how and why we built and used Posthuman in Halo Wars 2 and basically everything else that we've worked on for the last year and a half or so. Hope you enjoy it too. Thanks.